Today on What's Next.
The reason that I'm not collapse, like die, because I'm so active.
Volleyball saved your life.
Most people think that 80-year-olds ought to be sitting in a chair watching TV all day, and we are just not that way.
We are all in the ring battling life's never-ending challenges, and everyone represents an opportunity to mount a comeback or accept a setback. Thanks for joining us inside Growing Boulder headquarters here in Orlando, Florida for another episode of What's Next. I'm Mark Middleton, ready to dive into the art of the comeback because we are all involved in never-ending comebacks. Life will continue to knock us down and try to count us out. That's what it does. The only question is, will we get back up and come out swinging? Battling back is the pathway to what's next. So let's start swinging. Here are GB's comeback kids, Bill Schaefer, Amy Sweezy, and Cecily Wilson. And Bill, I know one thing that you and I both love about sports is that they do teach all of us about our ability to actually bounce back.
Oh yeah, they absolutely do. And Mark, we saw countless examples of that, didn't we? Of tremendous comeback stories at the National Senior Games, where athletes from 50 to 103 years old, they were overcoming surgery, they had overcome disease, all kinds of personal setbacks just to be able to take part in those games. And we want you to meet one of those now in a story presented by the host of the upcoming National Senior Games, Sports Pittsburgh.
1, 2, 3, hey!
When these guys get together, they do it for the fun of the game.
Come on, come on, come on!
But what they get from it is a lot more than that. All are in their 50s, but none of them feel like it.
It's like 20-year-old inside, 50-year-old bodies. We're good. Everyone goes to the gym, everybody works out, and we're gonna play till 75. At least this guy said he is.
As long as we're playing volleyball, it's keeping us in shape.
Right.
It's the best exercise, I think.
It's not to say that nothing's ever going to happen, but if something does, being in shape gives them a better chance at recovery, something they found out firsthand.
Our setter here, Tien, what was it, 3 years ago? We had to miss the Empire or the Fort Lauderdale games. He had open heart surgery, and he's back today playing with us. 61. Oh, yeah. 61.
Show them your scar.
61 years old, playing in the 50-year-old division at their open heart surgery.
Are you kidding? So what's your story?
Well, I was working out and I get heartburn and all that. I thought, just acid reflux. And the doctor, just take some medicine, it'll go away. Never went. So I went to cardiologist and they go, you got two block artery, 90% and 70%.
So most people would have said, listen, this is a sign, I'm done.
I'm done. I got a new life.
It's not the first time Tien Nguyen was given a new life. He fled Vietnam during the fall of Saigon when he was just 14. He was raised in refugee camps. A hardship for sure, but one he refuses to dwell on.
Yeah, that's what my wife always said. She said, I don't understand why you're not like having some issues of flashback and all that, And I said, you know what? You just have to let things go, and you just have to look forward to the future, and that's a brighter thing up there.
His future was in software engineering for work, but volleyball for fun. And his teammates became far more than just friends. They look after each other. They always teased Nguyen about what great shape he was in, and that's why the day they learned he was fighting for his life, they couldn't believe it. But then again, neither could win.
I was still shocked when I was sitting in the hospital. And that was the day that we were practicing to go to the New York State Empire Games. We played that tournament, and this guy was practicing, and I sent him a text. And he thought I was joking. Everybody was like, what? Tien is in the hospital for heart surgery? It's like, no, can't be.
As bad as it was, it could have been much worse.
That's what the doctor was saying. Like, he's told me the reason that I'm not collapsed, die, because I'm so active. And when my blockage was 90%, it built a collateral to supply blood to my heart. So I can still walk. He said, you are walking dead. But if that were 100%, then I'm out.
Volleyball saved your life.
And working out, being active, work out every day, cardio. and I'm still doing it.
Maybe that's why just 8 weeks after surgery, Tien Nguyen had not only recovered, but he was back on the court. And just a few years later, at the age of 61, he's the oldest player on his team and the greatest inspiration.
So what can we learn from all you've been?
Never quit. Just got to keep going. Never look back.
What do these guys mean to you?
All my buddy.
It really is incredible because what happened to Tien could happen to any of us, but being active and having that kind of support from his teammates made a huge difference in his ability to come back, and as quick as he did. Maybe it's time to get ready for your comeback story. You can check out all of the possibilities and maybe even compete in the 2023 National Senior Games at sportspittsburgh.com. All right, let's bring in the rest of our team now. Amy Sweezy, you watched that piece. What stood out to you in the story of Tien Nguyen?
Yeah, so much. I mean, obviously the exercise part of the equation, but what I really liked was the mental side of it. Bill, you said in the story, he refused to dwell on the bad things, and then he himself said, I just have to let things go. And I think that is so important and part of our battle, that we have to get our mindset straight first, and then, of course, let the physical stuff follow.
You know, it's a great point. I think for me, what I like best about that story, Bill, is that it illustrates very clearly what I like most about any group activity, and that is the incredibly strong desire to return to the camaraderie that surrounds that activity, as much as the desire to return to the activity itself. And I think whether it's volleyball or a quilting circle, it's that desire, you know, that fuels the comeback, the desire to re-engage with the people who share your passion.
Yeah, I totally agree. And even with all of that, it is just the circle, having them there and doing what you know you love to do, it keeps you moving. So if you get stagnant and not move and do the things that you know you love, you're just going to end up sitting there on, like a bump on a log. And so I love the fact that he's using what he loves to do to keep it moving with the group of community friends that he has to encourage him and say, come on, we got you, let's do this.
You know, and one final point to wrap this up with, we all have this idea in our heads that, well, I will work out, or I will lose the weight, or I will improve my diet when my doctor tells me, well, things are, or if I get things don't always come with a warning sign. You don't always get that chance to change things before you're hit with something. So make today the day that you work on your what's next.
We are all in the ring battling life's never-ending challenges, and everyone represents an opportunity to mount a comeback or accept a setback. So how's your comeback going? All of us are in the middle of a comeback right now. We're coming back from a broken heart or a broken leg. We're coming back from a bad investment, a bad accident, a bad childhood, a bad relationship, or a bad experience. We're coming back from a 48-hour case of the flu or a year-long battle with cancer. We're coming back from the loss of a job or the loss of a friend. We are all in the ring battling life's never-ending challenges, and everyone represents an opportunity to mount a comeback or accept a setback. How successful we are in bouncing back has a cumulative effect on how quickly we age, how long we maintain our independence, and ultimately the overall quality of our lives moving forward. If you want to accept the impact of your most recent setback, that is your right, but understand that life will continue to knock us down. There'll be another setback, and then another, and each one will extract a toll on the overall quality of your life. At some point, we all have to surrender, but for the vast majority of us, that time is not now, not yet.
Well, welcome back to What's Next. That was a special edition of On My Mind, which of course is Mark's video series that you can always find on our Growing Bolder Facebook page and share with your friends and family. So Mark, I really love what you said at the end of that video there. When we think about surrendering, and you said, not now, not yet. I mean, I know I have faced personal challenges and had comebacks of my own. You all, I'm sure, have as well. So is there some sort of particular lesson that you learned from your own comeback? Mark, I feel like these videos come from a real place when you put them together.
You know, I have learned a lot from a physical comeback, Amy, and I think for me the message is less is more. It's better to underdo than it is to overdo. In fact, I would change Nike's slogan from just do it to do it, but don't overdo it. Comebacks are all about persistence. It is always 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and it's that 1 step back that I think derails the comebacks for most people. They just can't handle it. You just got to keep on keeping on.
Yeah, I will say that this is a mantra of mine, is that if you do not quit, you cannot be defeated. And when I think about that, if you're getting back up, after getting back up, after getting back up, I am a professional resilience expert. So I know how to get back up after being knocked down repeatedly over and over and over again. So there is something to not quitting and getting back up.
I kind of think, Sess, and I bet you'll understand this too, that where you are in the process is not where you will be. I think progress can seem so slow, and you're down in this hole and it just seems insurmountable. But if you just go through things and the attitude is right and you're patient, like Mark says, and you just do a little bit of progress all the time, it's amazing how far we can get. But a lot of times it just doesn't seem that way when we're in the moment.
Yeah. And I think it's important to remember too that, you know, in a comeback, you have to actually do the work. You can't just sit back and wish it or hope it's going to happen or dream about it or hope somebody else does it for you. If you want to get up and start over, you have to do the work yourself.
And if you don't do that work, comebacks become progressively more harder as you get older. You've got to fight back as far as you can, as hard as you can, every time you have a setback, because it will get to be harder.
Most people think that 80-year-olds ought to be sitting in a chair watching TV all day, and we are just not that way.
Welcome back to What's Next. I recently had the privilege of witnessing in person a world record. 8 skydivers who are all over the age of 80 came together from all over the country to try to set a new world freefall formation mark. These guys call themselves the Joes, which is an acronym for Jumpers Over 80 Society.
I am on the POPs record, the SOS record, Skydiver over 60, and Jumpers over 70 record. So I figured that Jumpers over 80 would be good.
Most people think that 80-year-olds ought to be sitting in a chair watching TV all day, and we are just not that way.
It's still as exciting as it was when I was 20 years old, when I started. I've been doing it for 62 years.
We just really enjoy the freedom of falling out of the airplane and the camaraderie of making formations, and then, of course, all the socializing afterwards.
I think they all have a special something, that is a need to push themselves to their limits and to never feel that they're finished. There's always more to accomplish.
The moral of the story is that you have to keep on moving, keep on doing adventures in order to stay young. So if you stop moving and stop adventuring, I think you get old.
The Joes did get it done. They set the world record that day, but their message, I think, is a whole lot bigger than skydiving. In fact, you might have noticed, none of these guys really even wanted to talk about the record. They didn't want to talk about the technique that they used, the equipment on their back. All they really wanted to talk about, the message that they wanted to share, it was all about challenge and adventure, about opportunity and, yet once again, camaraderie. Being around these guys might not make you want to take up skydiving, but it definitely will make you want to continue to challenge yourself in surprising ways. And you know, we challenged ourselves recently in a surprising way. We've decided to create a growing boulder TikTok channel. And while admittedly it is a work in progress, we are creating some pretty cool bite-sized nuggets of Growing Boulder inspiration. So check it out. Follow Growing Boulder on TikTok for some fast-paced, inspirational, and entertaining videos every day. And talk about jumping into life. Check out our Bold Social video of the day. Here's the setup. A bunch of young kids are hanging out. They're trying to gather the nerve to jump from an 80-foot cliff into the water below when a 73-year-old grandpa shows up and shows them how it's done.
Oh my God.
Something we hear a lot of is, well, I'm not growing bolder because I'm not a marathon kind of a guy, or I don't have the money to travel to exotic places. And while we do stories on people like that, the vast majority of the stories we tell are not that. We even sat down to try to put into words the kind of people who are growing bolder, and we think we got it. In fact, we're so bold about it, we even wrote it all over the wall. Ordinary people living extraordinary lives. Think of it like this. Think of a tree. Humanity is the trunk, and all of us individuals are the branches. We start off together, ordinary people, but as we grow, some of us go this way, some of us go that way. We make choices. We choose to do something, or we choose not to do something, but it's in those choices where we have the opportunity to be extraordinary. They can be the simplest things, but they almost always involve finding something you love and diving right in, and then using your skill, your talent, your knowledge to inspire or to make a difference in the lives of others. So when you hear somebody talking about, well, this or that is someone who's growing bolder, just remember, it's not about possessions, money, privilege, or status. It's about living life to the fullest and being the best person you can be, because that's growing bolder.
Well, welcome back to Growing Boulder's What's Next? And are you following us on all of our social media platforms? I hope so. We're on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, and yes, TikTok. Each week we engage with our community of more than 1 million followers for your take. And the question of the week this time is, what's an age-related record you want to see broken? Phyllis wants to see an older average life expectancy. Currently in the U.S., it's about 79 years old. And Norma Meadows says that she wants to see older people in the modeling industry set a record for the oldest model. And Michael kept it simple. He said he just wants to see the oldest living person record be broken. All right, Bill, what's the record you'd like to see broken?
Man, that's a hard one, Cecily, but you keep saying the word record, so that popped into my head. I would like to see a new record for the oldest songwriter to have a hit. And you know what I'm thinking about? This always kind of bothered me. You have like Elton and Bernie, and you have Bruce Springsteen who've written these amazing songs. Why aren't they writing songs about age? Aging, the effects. I think it could do a lot to let everybody know what it's like, as we admire and respect these people, and they have such talent. So that's a record I would like to see.
Good one.
I'm going to go with oldest female broadcast meteorologist. But you know, oldest news anchors, oldest TV personalities, and everybody shouts from the rooftops their age. Nobody's trying to hide it and pretend like they're 35 or 40. Everybody's just proud of the age they are.
I love every bit of that. I have to tell you, folks, we are experts on this, because if there is an interesting world's oldest person, we've probably interviewed him. I mean, we've talked to the world's oldest bowler, the oldest college graduate, the oldest Nobel laureate, the oldest showgirl, the oldest mayor, the oldest teacher, the oldest Olympian, you name it. and we've interviewed them. And the real value is simply the example for the rest of us that more is possible. So what would I like to see the most? The record for the oldest adult to start from scratch an entirely new venture and turn it into $1 billion business. How about that? Not someone that just builds on what they've done before, but they make a complete pivot and build something incredible. We've talked today about comebacks, which are fun, they're exciting, they are deeply rewarding, but folks, do not be deceived. They are also hard, they're painful, and they can be very frustrating, but they are a key, if not the key, to successful aging and to always having a what's next. We'll see you next time.